Now, when you come up with dilemmas like that, casting, or perhaps in writing, you're shooting the film, you have it all set, and suddenly, the scene's not playing the way you thought it would. Right in the middle, stop. Let's rewrite. How do you feel about that? Script changes and such.
Well, script changes are important if they're necessary. If they have to happen in the middle of shooting, one of the best ways to go about it is to figure out what you do have to change about that particular scene, and while you're discussing your rewrites, see if you can have something else being shot for that scene, so that the momentum of that day's shoot doesn't get screwed up. I've never had to stop. I think if you realize that it's going to take more than an hour to resolve something, and that you don't feel like you can do it quickly and think on your feet, you should call lunch and give yourself another hour. and then once you call lunch, give yourself another hour, have a chance, take a bite to eat, have a chance to think about it, and then make a decision. But make a decision that keeps the project moving, because that's one of the that's one of the things that will ruin the momentum of a project, is if you feel like you can't give something up but it could ruin the whole. So you have to decide, okay, how do I make this scene work based on the fact that it's not going the direction I want? Well, okay, perhaps you can take the opportunity to favor another actor in that scene. Or perhaps you can figure out a way to cut the scene to the point where what is being said can get done faster. Or sometimes you have to figure out how to shoot it in less shots. So you can set it all up like in a single one-off and choreograph the moves so that you're not losing something if somebody doesn't look good in a close-up or whatever. There's all kinds of techniques that you can use to get through situations like that. But the main thing that you have to have is the ability to think on your feet and make decisions for the best to help the movie, and not be so protective of things that if it takes you 4 hours to get something that you absolutely have to have, how important is that for the movie as a whole?
So you have to be fluid, a willingness to give something up in this area, and
you don't want to compromise all the time. Like if you do, like compromising is something you don't want to do out as a matter of course. You want to do it only when you have to, because there has to be a director, there has to be a voice, the artist in the project, right? But as a pragmatist, you also have to think about the flow of the project and how everybody is working together. And sometimes a movie, when everybody is working together, it will show in the overall project. So you have to make a decision based on what you feel you can get or give in terms of the time you're spending on that particular element of the project. So it all depends on the circumstances. The hardest part is to have a set. We're waiting 2 hours because we're working something out. Or for people to see people arguing on the set. That's the worst. You've got to take your arguments elsewhere and have your discussions behind the scenes so that you can work it out.
With the director being the driving voice, so you have the voice of the director, you have the writer there, perhaps doing some rewrites, and then you have the talent, and so, percentage-wise, if you can even guess, how much are you willing to, say, okay, the talent wants to interpret the scene this way, the director see it this way, the writer is giving their impression that it should be this way, who's what percentage would give what?
Once the writer has written their script, I'll start with the writer. Once the writer has written their script, and you're on the set, it's no longer the writer's script. It's no longer the script. It's the movie. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't hold to the script where possible. In fact, I think very often if the script is awesome, you should hold to it completely. Now, every movie no matter what. The actors are always going to come to you with suggestions and things they don't understand and different ways to say something, inflections in their voice that you didn't think of. Those need to be worked out before you get to the set. And that influence can be great depending on the actor, or small depending on the actor. It all depends on, but every actor, you don't want to hire an actor unless you are willing to believe that they have things to bring to it. Because as I said before, an actor, the job of the actor is to bring something of themselves to the project. So if they're doing that, they're going to have changes or suggestions or ideas or ways to make their project better. It might just be a little bit of business, like, I'm going to pick up this object, I'm going to do this with this because I think it helps this part of this scene. All those little things that an actor brings to it, you got to welcome. And so it's not a question of what percentage of influence the actor has. It's how that influence is accepted, how it affects the project, and whether that makes the project better. And if you've done your homework and you've cast your movie right, you welcome that.
Yeah, so we covered a lot. So some final thoughts. What are some hidden little jewels that you found in art, but also in filmmaking, since we're talking about filmmaking right now, that you thought, well, you know what, if we do this, it makes it a little smoother, or, what have you just learned about yourself, that, well, if I do this, make it run a little smoother?
I think what you have to do is, the most important thing, I think, in any art form, whether it's painting or it's photography or it's filmmaking, is always go with the rhythm. Go with the rhythm of life, of the rhythm of the ocean. I'm a surfer, so one of the ways you learn to catch waves is you have to watch what Mother Ocean is doing, And once you understand what Mother Ocean is doing, you can go along with it. If you're trying to go against it, it's going to take a lot longer and it's going to be a lot harder to get where you're going. Doesn't mean you have to always do what everybody else does, but on your own particular path. I think it's important to say yes more than no. Because sometimes you can say yes and only take part of what you mean yes by. But saying no that feeds itself. Saying yes is like the best. So I think the key is follow the rhythm. Get with the rhythm. And that can be the beat of a song, the way the waves are moving that day, the flow of traffic, just figure out a way to get with the rhythm. And that means gathering around you people who have a good rhythm. And so you always want to pick the people that you choose to be around you, people that have good rhythm, people that have good vibe, people that have good soul, because then your path will be a better path and you'll learn more. And that's what I would say.
That's definitely a jewel right there. Find the rhythm in people, places, and everything.
Yeah. It's about feeling the vibe. It's about figuring out what the rhythm is of a particular thing. I mean, just to give you an example, a friend of mine was trying to wanted to cast a character in my movie, and he's German, and his name is Holger, and he said, you got to meet this guy Tudor at Rythmn, and I was like, I looked at his picture and I was like, cool, he'd be good for the bad guy. I saw his reel and everything. He'd be good for the bad guy. But he had a thick German accent, and I was like, I can't do that. This is about Venice Beach, right? So for 6-8 months, I went around looking for other people, submitted to agents and talent managers and talent agents for certain people that I thought should be in it, and they had the script and all that stuff. And finally, he said, you got to meet this guy, and this is 8 months later. and because things take a long time, and that's another thing you got to learn. And so then he said, you got to meet this guy where he's at a party. He's going to be at a party, Christmas party or something. So it was not too long ago, and I went to the party, and I met him, and we talked for 3 hours. And I don't talk to people that long. It may seem unusual with this interview, but I don't. Anyway, so we're talking, and I'm just getting along with this guy, and I've never gotten along with like somebody so immediately about a project, especially one that was near and dear to me. But he just kind of got it. He had read the script already, and so we just talked about all different things. And finally, I was like, you know what? At the end of the night, I was like, I really like you, but I still don't know what to do about your accent. Maybe you can do a British accent. Maybe we can get you a voice coach. I don't know, but I can't make the decision until I decide. So my new partner, Vicki Hamilton, who I'm working with, she collects some of my paintings. She's a former manager of Guns N' Roses, and I'm working on a project called Until the Music Ends with her, a documentary that's coming out soon. She's amazing. Anyway, probably going to do a painting about her too. But anyway, she said, I said, why don't you take a look at his reel? And she's a music supervisor on a Venice Tale. She's not the director or anything, but I trust her opinion. And so she was looking at the reel, and she looked at the picture, and she goes, he's hot. She goes, why don't you just let him have a German accent? And I was like,
Sure, why not?
fuck it, why not? In fact, we talked about it, and I think it would actually be funny. It would add an element of humor to it. You know, and the bad guy needs a little humor here and there, and so I was like, fuck it, let's do it. You know, it took me a long time to get to that place, but once I got to that place, I was like, this is cool. And you know, I don't think I wasn't going with the rhythm during that whole time when I was making that decision. But I think going with that decision is going with the rhythm and going with your vibe. You know, and sometimes it takes a while to get to a certain place, and you know, but it all came together once I met him. Once I got the vibe from him at the party, then the rest fell into place. You know, getting his vibe at the party was like getting his rhythm. Then his rhythm felt right, and then that felt everything. That's what makes things go. So there you go. That's just an example of how rhythm and vibe can help you make a decision.
So finding your rhythm may take taking a few steps.
Oh yeah, yeah. Finding the rhythm isn't you don't just immediately know where it is, but you learn to find it quicker. And the more often you surf, the more often you do whatever it is you do, yoga, you know, whatever it is you do that frees up your body and your mind, whatever you do that helps you get to a rhythm quicker. But some decisions come immediately, like right on set or right at the moment when you're painting, and some decisions take a long time. And that's okay too. But they all come from a searching for the rhythm.
Awesome. I think that's a great title for the interview, Finding Your Rhythm. Yeah, you're
searching for the rhythm.
That's right, searching for the rhythm. Hey, Yuri, thanks. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it, Gus. Thank you very much.